What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in today. I'm going to be going over my thoughts on the 2017 Microsoft Surface Pro after having it for 7 months. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to mention about the Surface Pro that I really like is the portability. It's so small, it's easy to travel with, it can fold up super flat, it can fit into a small case, and it's just easy to carry. I really have enjoyed using it over the last 7 months, being able to take it in and out of work, home, anywhere basically I go. I take my Surface Pro with me in my little travel case, and it's never missed a beat. It's held up well, and it's been awesome. The second thing I want to mention, and possibly the biggest thing in my opinion that I really like, is how versatile it is. The Surface Pro is so versatile that there's almost nothing that it can't do, or at least come close to doing. For my lifestyle, it works out really well because I'm always on the go. I can pull the keyboard off of it, I can use the ARC mouse, or I can use the pen, because I do meet with clients and every once in a while it's nice to take the keyboard off, kind of hold it like a tablet and be able to write with the pen, take notes and things like that. So a lot of people in and out of the business world, as well as students, artists, you name it, pretty much that computer can work for you to some extent. The third thing I'd like to mention that I really like about the Surface Pro is the battery life. While Microsoft claims that it goes up to 13 hours, I don't get that kind of performance, but I do get an entire work day out of one battery charge. So what I mean by work day is Google Chrome with a few tabs open, Microsoft Outlook, or the Mail app. You can listen to some music, things like that, things that aren't going to utilize the graphics too much. If you're going to use something like Adobe Premiere CC, which I edit in, this video is edited in Adobe Premiere, I noticed that I probably get a good 2 to 3 hours worth of battery life when I'm doing a heavy application like that. But for everyday use, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Google Chrome, and like I said, your email, you're going to get a good 8 to 10 hours worth of battery life on one charge. So either way, I leave in the morning with a full charge, and I come back and I don't need to charge it again until later that evening. So let's go into some cons of the Surface Pro. The first one I want to mention is the price. For what you get, it is a good computer, but for $1,300, I feel like I should have gotten the keyboard. At least I can understand not getting a mouse or the pen, but out of the box, when you open it up, if you don't buy that type cover, you're gonna have to fidget around with the on-screen keyboard, which, let's just face it, I don't know anybody who likes to type with an on-screen keyboard. So I feel like for $1,300, I should have definitely gotten a keyboard, and I'm sure there are plenty of you out there that probably feel the same way. But that would be my biggest knock, is that for the money, I feel like it should at least come with the type cover, because Microsoft claims that this is a laptop, but out of the box, it is just a tablet with a really nice operating system, not necessarily a laptop. The next thing I want to mention as a con would be the lack of ability to open this thing up and either work on it or upgrade parts. Most of you who either have bought a Surface or are researching the Surface already know that you can't do that. And more manufacturers are going towards that route of making devices that either A, you can't open it to work on it at all, or things are soldered into the motherboard and you can't really upgrade them. So it's not a big deal in my opinion, but there are people who would rather not have that limitation, and I can understand that. But when I looked at buying the Surface Pro, that was not really something that scared me away, because I knew what I was buying was going to probably do the job for me pretty well. I had already seen some of the older iterations of the Surface Pro, so I kind of knew what I was getting into when I bought it. And so far it's performed well, and hopefully it'll hold up over time and I won't have to worry about getting inside of it to work on it. So just a couple of closing thoughts. What I use the Surface Pro for, my lifestyle, it meets my needs pretty well. And the big question is, would I buy it again if I had to? And the answer is a definite yes, I would, because it's held up extremely well. It's never missed a beat. The Alcantara has held up well. It actually cleans up well. I thought it might fall apart. I had worries about the fanless design. I bought that i5 model with 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gigabyte SSD. I feel like that's kind of the sweet spot right in the middle, because some of the i7 models really jumped up in price, and the bottom level one I don't think would have really met any of my needs. But the model that I bought, I feel like it's performed extremely well. It's held up well so far over the 7 months. The only glitch I had really with my Surface Pro was within the first 2 months or so of having it. I noticed that when my computer was asleep and I went to open it and wake it up, if I clicked the arc mouse into position to turn it on, the Bluetooth, something with that driver I think in Windows 10, would actually freeze up the computer every once in a while, like every 2 or 3 days it would freeze, and I would have to actually hold down the power button and power cycle it, and that would be the only way to get it unfrozen. But they released an update and I have not had that issue since. Other than that, it's never frozen up on me or locked up or anything. You know, I just put it to sleep, and every time I go and open it up, it turns right back on. So it's been extremely efficient, actually. It's worked pretty well. It's been the best Windows PC that I've ever owned. And I want to say, just a disclaimer, I'm not a fanboy for Microsoft, and I'm not a fanboy for Apple. I work on computers all day, every day, and I will gladly use an Apple of any kind or a PC of any kind. I like to use both of them. You know, I'm a fan of computers, and I enjoy aspects of working on both different machines. Just depending on the application or what I'm doing will be what I primarily choose to use. But I would gladly use an Apple or a PC, so I don't want to feel like this is a very one-sided opinion of Windows or PC versus Apple, because it isn't. So I also want to mention that I've been extremely pleased with the performance of the Surface Pro. I've been editing videos. Pretty much every video on this channel has been edited on the Surface Pro in Adobe Premiere CC. So when I import, you know, media into the bin in Adobe, it's smooth. It's very good to drag and drop things onto the timeline. All of that is fine. It plays extremely smooth, actually, until I start adding in a transition or like some color grading. Then what'll happen is it'll play, but as the playhead is going, it's going to drop those frames. It's not going to be smooth. So usually what I do is I will set my in and out points and drag everything on the timeline and arrange the video how I want it. And then I'll click play and watch it through, make sure everything looks good. And then what I'll do at the very end is go back and add any transitions or effects that I want to add at the very end before I export. And exporting, you know, export times in Adobe are kind of slow anyway, but I probably average like 1 minute per 1 minute of video. So if I'm exporting, it's going to take about a minute, sometimes more, depending on the quality and what the computer's having to do. 1 minute of export per 1 minute of video time in the video. I don't time it, so I don't know for sure, but what I do know is that it doesn't bother me too much, because I'll usually just hit export and walk away and go do some other things and then come back, and then it'll be finished up. So overall, I've been extremely pleased with my Surface Pro. I hope this video helps you out in some way. If it does, make sure you like and subscribe and check back for more videos. I really appreciate it. If you have any comments or suggestions, feel free to leave them below and I will check those out. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.